and drop some smooth lyrics. Chris 88.
Great googly moogly. Thank you for tuning in to this special edition of the Bet Edge video series. We're coming at you today with a breakdown of the 2018 Eastern Conference NBA playoffs. We're going to rip through really quickly each and every one of the four series we have here, give you our insight, some great info to make your betting a little sharper here through the 2018 NBA playoffs. Hopefully we'll all make some money together. So let's jump right in with our first series, the number one seeded Toronto Raptors. How did that happen? They're taking on, maybe equally as shocking, the 8th-seeded Washington Wizards with all of that talent on their squad. John Wall, Bradley Beal, Otto Porter, Kelly Oubre off the bench. I mean, it's crazy to think that this team is all the way down in 8th spot when you consider some of the teams in the East. But this is where we're at. We've got Toronto playing Washington here in the first round. Anyone that's been paying attention to this Raptors team over the last couple of years are well aware of their postseason struggles. They are 12-27-2 against the spread over the last 4 years in the postseason. That is absolutely not getting it done. They have 6 straight-up losses at home to open a series in the last 4 years, and they have been favored in 5 of those 6 losses. So, I mean, something seems to happen to this team when they hit the playoffs. And, I mean, their home court is not getting it done, and that's kind of where you have to hang your hat in the playoffs. You absolutely have to win just about every single one of your home games to make a deep run, and that has not been the case for this Raptors team. I'm not sure why people think they're going to flip it around this year. I think it has a lot more to do with where they finished in the East than what is actually happening with this team. The turnaround has been their depth. They have one of the best benches in the league. But you have to believe that edge gets diminished a little bit in the playoffs, where your starters play close to 40 minutes if necessary. I'm not sure how much of an impact Fred VanVleet and company is going to have going against players like John Wall and Bradley Beal for the majority of those minutes. But, I mean, we'll definitely see, in my estimation, that edge for the Raptors is going to diminish at least a little bit. And, I mean, for this Washington team, we really haven't seen them hit at full stride absolutely all year long. I mean, they're on pretty much everybody's naughty list, and I think it's because we expect so much of this team, or we just expect them to be much better than what they've shown this year. When you look at the talent on this team, they should absolutely not be in the 8th position, but that's where they are. But just talent for talent, I mean, I like the Washington roster at least 1 through 5 much, much better than I like this Raps team. I think they're absolutely live in this series. So my best bet for this series is the Wizards in the series handicap plus 2.5 games. So if they just win 2 games here, you've cashed this bet. And if you consider just how bad the Raptors are in Game 1 at home, I think they've lost the last 7 games in that situation. If they drop Game 1, I mean, your bet is looking absolutely great. So I'm going to take a shot with Washington to just win 2 games here. I mean, if you look at the stat graphic up here, the field goal percentage is very, very similar, and the possession stats and rebounding and turnover percentage, not a huge edge for the Raptors there. So they're really going to have to shoot well, which I think is the Achilles heel of this Raptors team. They really don't have any shooting on the roster. Nobody on the team left open for 3 really scares you. I think that's going to be their downfall. We're going to take the Wizards plus 2.5 games as our best bet. Series number 2, Boston Celtics. The hobbled Boston Celtics taking on the Milwaukee Bucks and everybody's favorite Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is one of the tougher series to call, I think, here in the first round. Boston, just with such an injury-depleted roster, they'll be without Kyrie, without Gordon Hayward. I mean, the guards on this team have taken such a hit. We're not sure what Marcus Smart's status is going to be. We're going to see a lot of Terry Rozier, maybe a lot of Shane Larkin. Not really sure how that's going to go. But the real edge for Boston here is the coaching mismatch. Brad Stevens, definitely one of the best coaches in basketball, and Joe Prunty has got to be on towards the bottom of the list of coaches in the NBA right now. I mean, this Boston team plays hard every single night, and despite the injuries that they have to their top shelf talent, there's still a lot of talent on this roster. Jason Tatum is extremely talented, a great player, even at the young stages of his NBA career. The exact same thing can be said for Jaylen Brown. Al Horford may be the most underrated player in the NBA. You insert him into any defense, and he is going to make a huge, huge impact, just like he does for this team here. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about this Celtics team, at least in the first round. From what I've seen from this Milwaukee team, you just cannot trust them. Their offense is as hard to watch as just about any team in the league. Their defense is not much better. And if you just look here in the stat graphic, they don't have a huge edge in offense over Boston, but Boston has almost a 7-point edge in defense there. The field goal percentage is not too much of a discrepancy, but Boston's going to have a huge edge in the rebounding factor. I think that's going to be enough to separate them. I like Boston to come through this series, laying a short price of 160. My best bet for this series is the Boston Celtics to get it done. Just win their home games and advance here to the second round. Series number 3. This has got to be the best series in the first round of the playoffs. The Philadelphia 76ers, everybody's darling, taking on a Miami Heat squad that I really do not think people should be taking lightly. And we'll get into it a bit here. But the biggest factor in this series is going to be Joel Embiid and his impending return. I believe he's expected to miss at least the first game or two of this series. And that could be huge, especially considering that those 2 games will be at home for the Philadelphia 76ers. You drop one of your first 2 home games and have to go on the road and make those up against this extremely deep and well-coached Miami Heat team, they could be in trouble, especially when you consider the players that they're going to be leaning on the most really don't have too much playoff experience, if any, when you consider Ben Simmons and Saric and players like that. I mean, it's one thing to look at the talent and just assume they're going to be okay, but until we see how they perform in the playoffs, I mean, I really don't think you can make that leap. So I'm really kind of liking the Heat to be a sneaky team here. I don't think they're gonna win, but if you look at their series handicap at +2.5, -138, I think that there is extreme value there. When I really think that they have a chance to win this series. As I said, they're extremely deep. They run 10 players deep and just about any one of them can go off on any night and hurt you and drop 30. I mean, I've seen Kelly Olynyk do it this year. I've seen James Johnson do it. Goran Dragic is very capable. Hassan Whiteside, Bam Adebayo comes off the bench sometimes and has 20-20 nights. I mean, this is a scary team when you consider their depth and how well they're coached and the playoff experience they have. They know how to play. With that depth, they can kind of play just about any way that they would have to. I think it's a sneaky team. They were 17-23 on the road this year, which isn't bad, but so many close losses when you really go and break their road record down in depth. They could have been a much, much better road team than their record reflects. But the thing everyone's going to be paying attention to is Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, the Sixers closing the year on that 15 or 16-0 straight up stretch to close the season. I think that's made this team, if not a little, extremely overvalued, and I think that's where we're getting this value with the Miami Heat, especially at that series handicap of +2.5 games. They got to win 2 games. You cash this bet. They split the season series with this team 2-2. If that continues here in the playoffs, we're cashing that bet, and that's going to look great. Just a quick little look at the stat graphic. I mean, the Sixers are statistically, when you look at their statistical profile, one of the best teams in basketball. Huge rebounding edge against just about anybody they play. Their field goal percentage, points per shot, absolutely elite. Their defense is among the best in the NBA, and their offense is not too shabby at all. The Miami Heat, fairly average across the board, but I mean, when you watch this team play, they seem like they're live on every single night. I like them to win at least one of their home games, maybe steal one on the road there with Joel Embiid missing a game or 2. That'll be enough to cash our bet here. Miami +2.5. That's our best bet for that series. Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Indiana Pacers. The Cavs, look, man, the one thing with the Cavs all year has been their defense. They finished this year with the second worst defense, points per 100 possessions, in the NBA, I believe only behind the Sacramento Kings. That cannot happen for a team that has championship aspirations. But when you watch this team play, I mean, they definitely have defensive issues. Kevin Love, not a great defender, nor is J.R. Smith. They really don't have too many great defenders on this roster. But if you were watching LeBron James play this year, he really did not exert any effort on the defensive end. He may have played 82 games this year and did not rest in that manner, but he definitely rested this year on the defensive end. just kind of just statuing out there, letting guys. So those are all effort issues that would just caring a little bit more, which LeBron James definitely will here in the playoffs. I think. I mean, I don't expect this Cavaliers team to be a defensive juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, but I really believe that just with a little bit of effort from LeBron James and that coaching staff and those players buying in together, that they can get that league's second worst defense to at least close to an average defense. And if they can do that with the way that they play offense and share the ball, and LeBron can pretty much score just about any time he wants to out there, that will be enough to not only beat the Indiana Pacers, but I think beat any team here in the Eastern Conference. The only team that I thought had a chance to beat this Cavs team was the Boston Celtics. If they had Kyrie, even just Kyrie on that roster, I think that they were live in a series against the Cavaliers. But when you look at the way he treats the Toronto Raptors, which looks like the biggest threat, I mean, he owns that team. A year ago there when Toronto stole 2 games there off the Cavs, I remember hearing an interview with LeBron James just saying he was not worried. And it did not look like they were worried, nor should they have been worried. If they face this Toronto team, I expect them to steamroll them. And I expect that to be the case for just about any other team here in the Eastern Conference. That's why my best bet for this series, you're not going to make any money just betting the Cavs to beat the Pacers, but at plus 125 to win the East, I don't see a team in this conference that's going to stand in their way. So just take a deeper look here at this particular series. When we look at the stat graphic, the Cavs have a pretty big edge here in offense. The Pacers make that up with defense, but for points I just described, I think that they can close that gap a little bit. Cavs with a big edge in field goal percentage, points per shot, and the possession stats, rebounding percentage and turnover percentage, pretty much identical. So I mean, the only edge that the Pacers have here is going to be on the defensive end. I don't think that's going to be enough here to get by the King. I believe he's made it to 7 or 8 finals in a row. I do not see that changing. I don't see a team out there that's going to beat them. Best bet here for this series, the King to return to the NBA Finals yet again. That's our best bet there at plus 125. Just to recap here, our best bets, we have the Washington Wizards series handicap plus 2.5 games at minus 110. We're going to throw a unit on that. I mean, I really don't trust this Wizards team. I'm not sure that they like each other. We've heard quotes coming out of this team all year long, kind of bickering back and forth, and they have not looked good since John Wall's return. So this is really a bet against what I feel is an overvalued number 1 seeded Toronto Raptors. At minus 110, I will take the Washington Wizards for 1 unit at plus 2.5 games. The second series here, the Boston Celtics to win the series. This is purely a bet on Brad Stevens and against the Milwaukee Bucks. They just have not looked right to me all year long. They win when Giannis goes off. I mean, he's going to need to average 40 points a game in this series, I think, for them to win, because they really just they can't count on getting too much production from anybody else on this roster. Their offense looks painful. Their defense is not good enough to carry them through. They're going to have to win at least 1 game on the road here. I do not think that they're capable of doing that against this well-coached Celtics team. I'm going to throw 2 units at the Celtics to win this series here at minus 160. Our third bet here is one of our favorite bets, the series handicap, Miami plus 2.5 games at minus 138. We've seen this move a little bit here towards the Miami side, and you've got to think that that's sharp money. I don't think there's a lot of Joe Schmoes out here getting in line to bet against the 76ers team, given what they've done to close the season and the star power that they have up top. That makes me feel even more comfortable with this bet. And as we said at the onset, if Joel Embiid misses 1 or 2 games here at the onset of this series and Philly drops one of those, Miami just has to win 1 of their home games to cash this bet. I think that they are live in this series, and I absolutely love this bet. We're going to throw 2 units at that and expect a healthy return there. Our last bet of the Eastern Conference first round, not a first round bet. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference at plus 125. I love this bet so much, I'm going to put 5 units on it. I rarely ever do this unless I am supremely confident in a wager, and I feel that level of confidence here. I mean, if you just bet on LeBron James to win the Eastern Conference every year over the last decade, you are making money hand over fist. I don't see why that's stopping. So that's we're making that a 5-unit special. I fully expect to win, to be cashing this bet here in about a month or so. So that's going to do it, guys, for our Eastern Conference breakdown. If you had any questions or anything at all, please get at me on Twitter at bet_edge. We post stuff up there pretty much daily. Great betting tools, great free information, free picks almost daily up there. So please head over to Twitter, give us a follow, give us a like, share the information, share these videos. It really goes a long way in keeping this content free and available for everybody. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. As always, good night and good luck.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this. I'm just gonna sit here laid back to this nice mellow beat, you know, and drop some smooth lyrics. Cause it's 88. Time to set it straight, you know what I'm saying? And there ain't no half stepping. Word. I'm ready. Rappers stepping to me. They wanna get some, but I'm the Kane, so yo, you know the out.